The consulate will be Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. Fantastic. Cool. So where are you at? What stage are you at in the during the application? Just starting to consider it?
We are just getting ready for the application process. We cannot meet with the Spanish consulate until after January 1st.
Okay.
And you confirmed a question, I believe it was last week. You cannot meet with the consulate until I have my pension paperwork in hand and I've officially started retirement, which is January 1st.
I see. Oh, yeah. I remember this question.
So we are in the process right now of starting to gather the paperwork, but knowing the 30-day window of what the consulate wants for the paperwork, we really
So
can't.
how did you confirm that this was a requirement? Was it because you asked this in the group and I answered it? Sorry, because I'm all the time like answering questions in the group and everything, so I tend to mix up. So also to give context to others.
It was twofold. It was one, we had done some research on our own, and then you confirmed it in a follow-up question. So that's kind of where we're at, confirming all of our information and getting ready to start the paperwork in November. So we start getting our date stamps mid-November in preparation for the meeting with the consulate. Mid to late January is kind of the time frame.
Okay. Because before having the pension, there's no other way you could meet the funding requirements without having to use the pension. But, using the pension would be definitely more straightforward, easier, and, less scrutiny for sure, 100%. But, this is not the only way to meet the funding threshold as long as it is savings or passive recurring income.
That was one of my questions for today. Could we just start knowing that we can just prove savings and we would be fine? Well, do we have to show the pension?
I mean, if you want to use this, is as I'm not a legal advisor. I'm not an immigration lawyer, and when you are always very close to the limits, whatever the limits are in terms of timeline, in terms of can I show this funding, how this funding will be considered, and everything, I would definitely recommend consulting with an immigration lawyer expert in the non-lucrative visa just to make sure that this is it. So, but what I understand is that you need to prove that you are receiving the pension. Okay, it is never, let's say, well seen by any consulate that it is for sure that you're gonna be getting anything in the future. You already have to have receiving it. Okay, receiving it. The same principle applies for a house, for example. People say, oh, can I, I have $1 million apartment or $1 million house. Can I use that as proof of funds? Right? Well, no. What the consulate wants is that you sell that house and that you get your money in your account, okay? Because that's liquid money, yes, that you are, that you have really accessible, without any conditions or anything at all, right? So, the promise that you will get the pension should not be enough. This is the general idea that I have, unfortunately for you, because it puts you in a different year. Maybe it puts you, you have to wait a little bit longer, but definitely check with an immigration lawyer, check with the community, just to make sure that it could be wrong all the way. There's also another person connected. Rob, hi, how are you doing? Welcome.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I have my appointment at the Los Angeles consular on October 31st, and I'm gathering all my required documents, and I should have them in time for the appointment. My question is, a friend of mine did the process about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and he told me that he had to leave his passport with the consul, and it was a number of months that he didn't have his passport, and I wanted to know if that's still a requirement, because for me, if I don't have my passport, I can't travel out of the country during that time period, and I travel a lot. So do you know anything about that?
Well, I can tell you a couple of things about this, okay? Maybe if we search here, second passport, Spainguru, USA, non-lucrative visa, second passport. There's a lot of people who get a second passport in the States. When I say a lot, take it with a pinch of salt, but comparing to the UK, it is much easier, or even possible in the States to get a second passport. First of all, while you are on applying for a visa for a foreign country in the States, okay, you don't have to comply with many conditions, and it is quite an easy procedure, as far as I understand. In the UK, no. Okay, for UK people who are watching, it's not, okay, obtaining a second passport. But for the States, a lot of people, I heard, they got the second passport, regardless with what happens at the consulate, okay, which tends to be a little bit erratic. So, and it changes over time in the different consulates. So it's hard for me to keep up with the consulate that keep your passport for several weeks, even months sometimes, okay? And which used to be the standard, okay? You leave your passport at the consulate and you don't see it, or at BLS in this case for Los Angeles. It used to be the consulate until end of last year. Now it's BLS, okay? Some BLS offices are providing now, with a form to people who want to keep their passport, okay? And you need to give reasons, okay, why you want to keep your passport. Okay, maybe I want to travel because I want to buy a property, in Spain or whatever, right? But not all the consulates have this form. Not all the BLS offices have this form. For example, in the UK, it is only Manchester who has it, and not London, as far as I understand. Wow. So I don't know the case exactly of Los Angeles. I prefer these kind of questions that you ask the community, because it changes all the time and it's very, very consulate oriented. Okay, you can go to Spanish non-lucrative visa here. You join the group. You can ask anonymously if you want. Post anonymously if you don't want to leave your name. And it's like, are you applying? LA application. Do they keep your passport?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So that's what I would do first of all, just to have an updated first-hand experience from others who are applying right now. But maybe I could also search, okay, here, Los Angeles or LA passport. Sometimes, the search tool of a group is not very clear. So this is from May 4th, and this is someone who is sharing the first-hand experience, okay? Right. So I don't know if they mention about the passport. It says they took copies of the passport. You must later collect the passport. Various sources have differed on the question whether you must later collect the passport in person or whether you can be sent by courier to your home. You see, there's so many things that change. As far as I understand, in Los Angeles, you pick it up in person, and if you pay more, you can go out of business hours. Okay. And another tool that I can give you also to keep up with all this information is you go to Spainguru.es, you go to guides and blogs, visa guides, Spain non-lucrative visa, non-lucrative consulates, US consulates, and you go to Los Angeles consulate. And here I have a dedicated page to the Los Angeles consulate. So all the content that I create, including first-hand experiences, are consolidated in this page. For example, there is first-hand experience from June, 3 of them, 4 of them, right? That could perfectly mention or not the passport thing, but will give you much more information on what's going on.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Rob. Thank you for joining today. Anyone else who would like to shoot a question about the non-lucrative visa, anything related to moving to Spain? We can also talk about taxes, of course, all within the realm of applying for the non-lucrative visa, moving to Spain. I'm very, very happy to answer any question, or if you want to have any observation or remark, also we can talk about it. I see that there are 6 people connected. Hello?
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining today. Please don't share personal information.
All right, no problem. So I am on the call because I'm in the process of trying to figure out which documents I need to apply for the visa. But I did want to ask, when it comes to documents like your FBI background check, documents that you need to get apostilled, birth certificate, how long do those documents, for how long can you go with having those documents apostilled? Like, does the apostillation expire after 3 months, after 6 months? I just want to make sure I know what that is because I'm not clear on that.
All right. I'm going to answer you also mentioning a few nuances all around this subject, okay? So I will tell you, first of all, what I would do, and just follow what I'm doing on my screen, okay? In your case, first of all, always check the official requirements. Sometimes they don't have requirements, but first of all, first step, check official requirements, okay? Don't believe a person online, okay? First of all, okay? So what consulate would you be applying from?
Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida. Okay, so I go here, guides, blog. This is the way I do it because I have everything, in one single place. I go to non-lucrative visa consulates, U.S. consulates, and I go to Miami consulate. Okay, what is it? Why is this interesting? Before I was showing to Rob because I have first-hand experiences, but second of all, because I have a couple of instructions here, the official links in English and in Spanish, who can differ. Okay, can be slightly different. And this is from the consulate, not from BLS. In the case of Miami, they use BLS office also for the outsourcing of the processing of this visa, right? So you have to check the official requirements and see if there are any requirements regarding this that you asked, which is the FBI background check expiry date, apostille, and also sworn translation to Spanish, because this is this is an official certificate issued in English by a foreign country. Okay, which is USA. It's a foreign country from Spain. Therefore, we need to make it valid towards the Spanish authorities using the apostille, okay, which is the convention that makes it possible to use foreign documents procedures in Spain. Okay, so we go here, and this is the official non-lucrative visa page for Miami, right?
Okay.
So let's look for the criminal record check certificate, and this is what I have. Okay, I have all this information, right? Let's see what happens. The first part of the question is, does it expire? Yes, it does expire. You need to get a new copy that has a certain validity period. Okay, and it says very clearly, dated no more than 6 months before the application date.
Okay.
First of all, so rule number one, check the official requirements. Check the official requirements, because the answer should first try to be found there. Second thing, how does the process of the FBI apostille and FBI background check work? So if I go here, Spainguru, for example, Spainguru, and then I search FBI background check, and I search USA. Yes, I have a few articles about this and how to get the federal apostille in the USA for the FBI background check. I will share with you also the link in the chat box here for this, where I go through the step-by-step guide on what you need to do to obtain it so it's valid for your Spanish non-lucrative visa application in any US consulate, okay? At any US consulate and BLS office, of course, right? So if you're applying for the Spanish non-lucrative visa, blah, 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 and it says, first of all, you need to get the FBI background check. There are several ways to do it, okay? There's an, let's say, digital way and an analogical way. Analogical way, you get a form from the FBI, you put wet ink and you put your fingerprints in a cardboard form, and you put that in an envelope and you send it to the FBI, okay? This takes long time to receive in your home or whatever address you put. You receive the FBI like properly a physical page with the FBI report. What people do is you will go and put your fingerprints at the USPS office, okay, US Post Office, or an FBI approved channeler. You have a link here, okay? The USPS post office works quite well, but it is a little bit of a hit or miss. Some people have problems. Maybe the scanner machines are not great. They don't work very, very well. But most of the people say that they could scan their fingerprints. Maybe they work for a full hour at a USPS office. And then during that same morning or day, okay, or end of the day, they receive in their emails the FBI background check certificate in their emails. So it is a PDF, right? It is a PDF, but it is not printed. So here's the list of approved channelers for the fingerprints as well that you can also use. And you can find, depending on where you live, in your case, you are within Miami area, you know, if you search any of these companies, you can use those companies too. They will be more expensive, but people tend to say that they're, you know, they're faster, better, more reliable, especially if you have, you know, not very good fingerprints, okay, that tend to fade out in time. Second step, and this is controversial, okay? The second step, you have to do two things. Obtain an apostille, which has to be federal, very important, or you need to sworn translate to Spanish. And this is the controversy, okay? Lawyers, just to be on the safe side, will tell you, always also sworn translate the apostille also, okay? Therefore, you can either send the digital copy of your FBI background check and sworn translate it. Everything is done online. You can find on Spainguru.es sworn translators right here, okay? And you send them by email your FBI background check. They will return you the digital version of your certificate with the sworn translation, with a digital signature and stamp, and you print out that, you add it to your file, and that's what you submit for the NLV application. Right. Now, what happened to the apostille? The apostille, you will need to print out, okay, the PDF of the FBI, and you have two ways, okay, the public way or the private way. The public way, let's say you send it to the Department of State, okay, and in what people are saying now, it's going to take 6 weeks to 5 to 7 weeks to get the FBI certificate, FBI background check certificate, plus the physical apostille, which is one more page on top of it. That looks exactly like this one, okay?
All right.
And then you have the option to sworn translate or not the apostille, okay? There's been friction at some consulates with some officials checking the NLV applications that said that the apostille also had to be sworn translated into Spanish, okay? So many lawyers will tell you to sworn translate it too. Sometimes when you hire them, they have in-house sworn translator, therefore there's no extra cost in doing so. But of course, translating at this page, it will cost you more, okay? So I told you there are two ways to obtain the apostille. The cheap way, but takes a long time, 5 to 7 weeks. The Department of State, I think it costs $20, okay? As cheap as that. Or you can use a private apostille service that is faster, okay? In our case, if we go here, immigration, apostille services, USA apostilles, I recommend Monument, who has a fast track expedite service for which takes 10 business days instead, okay? But of course, it has a higher cost. So yeah, that would be, I don't think I'm missing anything in this answer.
Okay, so for the apostillation, because I am, so like I said, I have the Miami office, but I'm in the Atlanta, Georgia area. It's just the Miami office is the closest to me.
Right.
Could I just like physically, because I've been to the apostillation office in the Atlanta, Georgia area, since Atlanta is the capital of Georgia. I'd have, every apostille document has to be done in the state capital. Couldn't I just take the physical FBI background check and get it apostilled myself? Because I've done this before for other things, not for a background check, but I've gotten a document apostilled before in the state of Georgia. Like personally, where I personally walked into the apostillation office and, here's the paper and they apostle it right there. Is that something I could do? Or I know you said it's digital, so like, can I print it out and get it apostilled, or how does that work?
I mean, every capital of the state, I think it has like a delegation of the Department of State. Yes.
Yes.
So there's two options. I what I understand, like there used to be two options: that you walk into the delegation of the Department of State.
Mhm.
In this case, it's Atlanta. It could be, I don't know, Sacramento in California, or whatever, and they would do the federal apostille process for you. Okay, but I don't think this is happening any longer.
Yeah.
You would print the FBI background check, the digital copy, if you don't have the hard copy, and send it to the Department of State in Washington with a $20 money order or $20 bill, and then you will get it back by mail. Okay, but I'm not exactly sure about that, because since you live in the capital city, maybe you have the possibility to walk into the Department of State delegation in the capital of your state. Okay, that potentially could be a possibility instead of sending everything by mail. But I don't know. I could find it out as we speak. No, can I get a federal apostille in the Department of State delegation in Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes. That's correct.
Let's see what it says. No, you cannot get a federal apostille, blah, blah, blah. This is, of course, AI.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes. Federal apostilles are issued by the U.S. Department of State in Washington, D.C., right?
Okay, not at state level.
This is the thing. They used to have the service that you handed in the delegation, and they would do it for you, right?
Okay.
This is what happens. It's not that they issue it, okay? But they would receive it there. You could submit it and there. But I don't think it is really a thing now that you can do.
So because it looks like because it's federal, it has to be done in our nation's capital instead of the state capital level. Okay.
Yes, exactly. And this has to be federal. In the case, for example, if you're applying with your spouse, you're a married couple, or applying with children, and you were married in the States, and your children were born in the States, those certificates, marriage certificate and birth certificates, they have to be apostilled by the state where they were born or where you were married.
Okay.
You don't need a federal apostille for that. And before, you were asking me about the expiration date of the apostille itself. Am I wrong?
Yes, that as well as a birth certificate, because I'm going to be trying to apply eventually. Well, let me just say, I need for my type of NLV, I'm going to need a birth certificate. So I'm trying to find out, like, the same with the birth certificate, like if it's like a 6-month validity on the apostillation or what have you.
So, so first of all, the apostille, as far as I understand, it doesn't expire, okay? But the document attached to it has an expiration date. Okay. In this case, we looked at the official requirements of the Miami certificate, and they concede an expiration date of 6 months for the FBI background check, okay? If you want, you need to check the expiration date for the different documents that are in the that are required by your consulate and BLS office. So we go back here exactly, Spainguru, Miami consulate, NLV application. I go again to the non-lucrative visa, and we check, for example, we search here with the search option, and we put marriage certificates issued that last 6 months. So in the case of Miami, it's 6 months, if I'm not wrong, okay? Remember, I'm not an immigration lawyer. All this is not legal advice. Just trying to help, but I'm not an immigration lawyer, okay? This is important. Marriage certificate, 6 months. The medical certificate is 3 months, okay? In the States, doesn't need, as far as I understand, it doesn't need to be apostille, cannot be apostille, and it needs to be sworn translated if it's only in English, okay? But it's 3 months for the medical certificate. For the birth certificates, sorry?
For the medical certificate, you said that does not need to be apostilled? I mean, does not need to be translated. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Look, in the USA, only in the UK, they need to be apostilled, okay? In the USA, no, like it is not required to be apostilled, right? But recently, in the Spainguru Non-Lucrative Visa Facebook group, there's been some posts of someone who were insisting that they apostilled their medical certificates, but I think either they were confused or wrong or something, and I couldn't check it. Also, there was one exception, in Chicago where they were required to apostille the medical certificate, but no one else is doing it, okay? There was a little bit like, I would consider it like to be a little bit noisy. Someone wasn't very clear. So let's check here medical certificate, right? And we go to the official requirements in English for the consulate. Always read them in Spanish too, and always read them the BLS office. And it says a recent doctor statement dated no more than 3 months. So the expiration date of 3 months before the application date. Stamp. It has to be with the medical center's letterhead, so make it look official, duly signed by the doctor, not by the front desk person. Stamped. They love stamps. They love to see stamps. Translated into Spanish by a sworn certified translator. Okay. Please see appendix first. And it has to have a specific wording. Okay. It doesn't mention anything about apostles. Okay. Whereas background check, if we go to background check, it says must be issued within 6 months, must be legalized with an apostle.
Gotcha.
Okay. So yeah.
Okay. All right. With an apostle. Okay. I see the difference.
With a federal apostle, okay? Because it's a federal document. The FBI is federal. You need a federal apostle. The marriage certificate is from the state. You need a state apostle. The birth certificate is a state certificate. You need a state certificate. Of course, your children maybe were born in another country, Mexico or Cuba, or you were married in Cyprus. So that it would be those authorities who issued that certificate that they have to apostle. Yes.
Right. And what was the time length for the birth certificates? Was that one 6 months as well, or is that one 3 months?
It was together. If you look at the official requirements, together when you search marriage, you have marriage and birth certificate. Birth or marriage certificate issued in the service, blah blah, issues 6 months. Okay. I'm trying to read quickly, but please check everything. I'm not an immigration lawyer, but check it out there. And of course, if you need services for this, for sworn translators and apostle services, you can find on Spainguru, okay? For federal apostles in the States, expedite services, right? Okay, Rob, thank you for raising your hand.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hi,
no, please. Thank you for joining today.
Just to comment on the medical certificate, I got a bilingual template from the BLS website, which has a place for a medical stamp, the doctor's signature, and the doctor's license number. And the instructions indicate that you can use this form. I don't know if you can see it, or the doctor can copy it onto, as you said, the doctor's letterhead from his office. I just wanted to point that out. I wanted to also ask you, speaking of private apostle services, as opposed to going and doing it on your own. Yeah, that's doing it on your own.
This one is from Los Angeles. What was your consulate?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, exactly. Sorry.
Yeah. Mine looks a little different.
This is from Los Angeles. This is perfect because not every consulate has the template in both languages. Right. And but normally, they would accept the templates from other consulates. But the best is if you could use the template provided by your consulate itself. And of course, if it's in Spanish, you can avoid, the sworn translation, as long as they also sign it. Okay, make sure that they sign both parts.
Yes, and then getting back to apostles and the private apostle service, and you had said that if you send it by yourself, it could take 5 to 7 weeks. But if I send an envelope, like, with 2-day delivery, and send a return envelope with my name and address along with the fee, will that speed it up? And if not, what does a private apostle service do, or what extra skills or access do they have that I wouldn't have?
They don't, but they don't have any extra skills rather than speed, okay? Especially for the expedite service. Now, all these apostille services also normally bundle you with the service of doing sworn translation as well. So maybe you do everything in one step. But the big value that they add is that they are in Washington, okay? And they would just walk every single day with a pile of papers there and make them sign them and get the apostles quickly, okay?
Okay.
And also there are, It is easy to obtain an apostille by yourself, okay? But you could make human mistakes. You could make mistakes. If you use these guys, they're professionals. It is less likely that they make mistakes. And therefore, if there is any mistake, and for any reason, okay, you put less money, you wrote something wrong, you sent it to the wrong address, whatever, that's time that you lost, for sure.
Okay. And then one other question. Speaking of stamps, when it comes to bank statements, or like when I provide my proof of financial capacity, I'll be getting a statement from my bank where I have my savings account, you know, a 3-month statement. But what if they don't have a stamp? Because a lot of banks in the United States, they don't use stamps. What's the story with that?
Yes. As of May 20th, 2025, many consulates started to add extra certificates and requirements that are nowhere in the law, okay? That are nowhere in the law, but they want to make sure that everything matches, that the file that you are, issuing matches, right? So I have interviewed Ainhoa Manero here. You can see Spainguru's YouTube channel. I publish every day a different video, okay? One video will be this conversation that we're having. And here, Ainhoa Manero is an expert immigration lawyer with years of experience in non-lucrative visas. She's specialized in American applicants, okay? And I highly recommend her. And she did my citizenship. I'm from Argentina originally, and I got my Spanish citizenship with using her services, and I couldn't be happier. Anyways, here, this video, okay? And this is the second video in this series about NLB financial requirements. She talks about these financial requirements, right? I highly recommend you watching this video. I will send the link to the chat that we're having now, but I will do the TLDR version and our conversation for you. She's saying that if you prove, okay, if you provide information, okay, that your consulate is requiring in terms of certificates for the yearly balances, that you are missing stamps or whatever, and you prove that the bank is not providing you with the format that the consulate is requiring, it should be okay anyways. For instance, if they're asking you for the yearly balance as of December 31st, the previous year, and your bank doesn't want to give it to you, okay, you can just show, let's say, a Excel, okay, or a statement from yourself where you promise that your balance was this for this account, etc., notarize it, okay, and present it as officially as possible, stating in a letter of intent next to it, saying, for example, my bank said that they wouldn't provide this certificate in the ways that you want it. And the same applies for the monthly balances for the previous year, right? You would calculate it by yourself and say, my bank is unable to provide this, okay? And potentially, notarize this statement, and, potentially maybe you get an answer from the bank in your application or in your, app, in your phone or whatever, and print out that so that they can see, look, my bank is unable to comply with this, okay? This is what she's saying more or less in the video, okay? And don't quote me on this. Watch the video. There's the link. It's a 10-minute video. And hopefully we're going to get more updates into this. But as far as I understand, people are not having problems because of this. Someone was saying in Edinburgh, I think, or I don't know which consulate, that, yeah, they asked them, hey, I need to get the bank statement stamped. Okay, and I don't know how they solved it exactly, but yeah, if you can get the stamp, the better. Okay, if you can get the official paperwork from the bank, the better. But if you can't, try to do all your efforts in order to provide that information and say, look, I did everything I could. If you go with a lawyer and you did that, if you did all your efforts to prove this, as I said, and they tell you, no, I deny you the non-lucrative visa on the grounds that you are missing a stamp or whatever, the lawyer will fight back and they will win for sure, 100%. Okay. But of course, you don't want to go through that friction,
right?
If you're applying by yourself.
Okay.
Raising
Great.
my hands. Oh.
I guess I'm next in line.
Yes.
Two
Please
quick
go ahead.
questions. So first one is, I'm lucky enough to have a friend of a friend who is in Spain, Barcelona, and she works at one of the banks, one of the large ones. She said that I know that I need to create a Spanish bank account because I know it's just going to be easier for renting apartments. She said it would be very quick. I mean, we've spoken, so do you recommend doing that when I get in country or prior to? What is it really matter? I am going to wait till after January 1st because of the tax years. But what is your suggestion? Is it wait till we get there or set one up prior to while I'm still in the States?
First of all, I don't know how easy it is for an American to create a bank account from the States. Is that something that is still possible? You know?
Yeah, my contact said it was, and she said, and granted, now I have a personal connection with her, but she gave me like an outline. Jason, all I need is this, this, and this, and in an hour, I'll have you set up with a bank account. But I was thinking it may be just easier.
So you will be using her as a representative
of the
in Spain,
of the bank.
okay?
Yes.
Because this is changing all the time. This is evolving. A lot of people say, like, I want to open my bank account before I get to Spain, okay? But it is evolving all the time. The apps are evolving all the time. By being American, you know, the bank accounts in Spain and in Europe, they need to comply with the FATCA. You see, like, this is like sharing information with the American government for tax purposes. And several banks actually are not happy or willing to open bank accounts for Americans because there's too much paperwork, okay? But this is not a common thing. But for example, ING, which is a Dutch bank in Spain, it was famous among Americans because they wouldn't open an account for Americans because they don't want to go through the hurdle. One thing, okay? And this is evolving all the time, right? Second thing, there are some bank accounts like N26, okay, or Revolut, which are like neo-banks, digital banks that potentially can open you a non-resident bank account before going to Spain, but not very, very clear that it is possible, but some people did it, okay? Maybe they ask you for a NIE number, okay? Maybe they ask you for a NIE number to open it, but the NIE number, it is given to you when you get the non-lucrative visa. They will assign you a NIE number, which is the foreigner registration number, which is different from the TIE. The TIE is the plastic card, the residency card that will have the NIE on top together with your face and your name and everything, right? So first of all is that, okay? In your case, you have the possibility potentially to open a bank account before going to Spain. It is not a requirement, that's for sure. Otherwise, nobody will move to Spain, okay? But potentially, there are some benefits in doing so. Potentially, I say, because for the health insurance, many companies, okay? And as you probably know, on Spainguru.es, I recommend working with an exclusive agent for Adeslas, okay? And but if you use any other company, potentially, normally they will ask you to pay a full year in advance in order to get the certificate of coverage. Why they ask you this? For two reasons. They want to have everything paid because otherwise they won't issue that certificate saying that you will be covered for a full year, which is a legal requirement to prove that for the non-lucrative visa. But there's a double way also. Some companies potentially, but it is not common, if you already have a Spanish bank account, they will agree to charge you on a monthly basis and still provide for that certificate, okay? But right now, I cannot really tell you which company would do that or which company would offer you that option, okay? But this could be a potential benefit of having the Spanish bank account in advance. But right now, I cannot think of any other advantage, because when you arrive here, you walk into a brick and mortar bank, you show your passport, you show your NIE. Normally, you will need a NIE at the very least, which is something that you can get at a consulate for £8 or $10. you go to a consulate and you say, for example, I want to buy a property in Spain, and you need a NIE to buy a property, like a real estate property, right? And you pay $10 and they give you a NIE number, okay? Which is something done automatically when you get a visa, right? So it is a little bit more cumbersome to get the NIE in advance. Potentially, if you are in Spain as a tourist, you could obtain a NIE number as well, okay? Some people, and this is very almost conspiracy theory, they got the NIE before for any reason, and then they got the visa and they gave them a different NIE. And then they had to solve this problem with the foreign office, okay? It's full of these unwanted things that could potentially happen, okay? I'm not saying that that would happen, okay? But I heard some cases.
Bruno,
yes,
I did some research on this, and I found Santander and Sabadell have online applications for U.S. citizens to open a bank account, and you don't have to have the NIA or the NHI. I forget what the code is, but if you look it up, if you Google it, U.S. citizens, Spanish bank accounts, you'll find a list of different banks. And the ones I saw that looked best were Sabadell and Santander. And Santander was probably the best choice for me because they have branches all around the world. And it's very little. You don't have to have very much money to open the account. And if you use Revolut, you can transfer your funds easily to Santander. That's just what I found out. But again, you can Google that on your own to find that information.
Yes. I mean, my stand on this is like, look, I honestly, I opened like, I don't know, maybe more than 10, 15 bank accounts in Spain. All the banks are more or less the same. They have different flavor, but they're more or less the same. So, and they change all the time. It's very dynamic. All right. So Santander is good this year. As you said, Santander also has offices in the States. There could be some benefits on that. And some synergies and everything, and would make sense for you, and consider those synergies as a plus. But it could also be that you just have another bank account, okay, with another bank like Sabadell or La Caixa or BBVA, etc. Honestly, they are more or less the same. It's like health insurance companies, okay? People say
Right.
like, oh, I read horror stories about, I don't know, Sanitas, or I read horror stories about this, blah, blah, blah. Look, I use 3 insurance companies in Spain personally. They're more or less the same, and sometimes they change their agreements with their hospitals, with the doctor. One doctor stops using one health insurance, the other one. So more or less, these are huge companies, and you have to see what they offer you in that specific time, and then just go ahead with them, and potentially open 3 bank accounts. What's the problem, right? Open one in Santander, open one in Sabadell, open one in... It doesn't matter, as long as they don't cost you money, or maybe they cost you a little bit. Have the security, the security that the user experience and the currency exchange work well for you, right? So I'm gonna answer the question of Miami Beach Sunny. That's a great name. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you.
Oh, you could connect. Fantastic. Sorry,
Hi.
I was leaving you behind because you were asking writing, but fantastic. Thank you for joining today and asking something.
Oh,
Should I
thank
answer
you. Your website has been so helpful, and your chat groups, all of that. It's been very helpful.
Thank you so much for that feedback. Really happy to hear that. You can always leave a review on Trustpilot if you think that we're adding value here, and that would be really, really helpful. And I will be sending you great vibes for your non-lucrative application that for sure you'll need them.
Thank you.
We'll be crossing fingers. So Miami Beach Sunny, I guess you're applying from Miami. And I said, raise my hand question. Can I go just to BLS and maybe will they let me in? So I was hearing some evolving experiences about the walk-ins in Miami. As far as I understand, they're no longer accepted. People could not get appointments at BLS Miami. They were paying $80 and then going in, and they were accepted. Just like walking in, people went at 6:30 in the morning,
No,
and they were
when
accepted.
you
But
say
as far as I
paying
understand, that went away.
When you're saying $18, does that mean that they paid one of those people? Evidently, there are people who buy kind of like ticket scalpers. Is that who they're paying the 18 to? Or are they paying
No, they
it
were
to BLS?
paying to BLS. BLS Miami had a service, like a walk-in service, and they would pay 80, not
Oh,
18.
80. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't even aware of this.
Look, this person, Jana, this person, Miami, she did a walk-in, but it was May 14th. You see, this is not updated. Okay, I just searched in the group Miami walk-in, okay, which can have different ways to write it. Let's most
because
recent.
I've been on the BLS website trying to book the appointments like 24/7 so often that now they're saying that I can't. It'll tell me that that my computer has tried to book the appointment too many times, but it's just continuously telling me not available. Am I cutting it too short? I really would like to get there by December 1st, but I absolutely have to be there December 14th. My lease ends here.
Right. First of all, I say I'm sorry about the appointments problem, just on behalf of humanity, honestly, because the appointment problem, it's so frustrating. It's a huge bottleneck. It's happening in every consulate from the States and from not so much in the UK, but in Manchester was happening. Okay, but in the States, for some reason, it's just like not working. It's just not working. In other consulates, it's working well, like Mexico City, Panama, Hong Kong, like you name it, like all those international consulates, they don't have any problems. But this seems to be like a big clog going on in the States, and there's not much effort put into solving that issue. And it seems that the consulates are trying to organize the appointments issue in different ways. Like, for example, Boston, you need to send them an email, right? And they will just like liberate agenda or schedule for the next 3 months, and then they will just boom get all the appointments all at once. You see, and then there's no appointments for 90 days, something like that. Oh my gosh, which is insane.
I'm so scared.
That I heard it was Boston or Boston was like this, okay? And you would send an email saying like, please give me an appointment, blah, blah, blah. There's no other way, but this could be changing all the time. In the case of Miami, as I told you, it was very, very hard. It's still very hard. They used to have the walk-in option, and I don't see it. So I will search, and people are saying that the walk-in option is no longer available. BLS Miami non-lucrative visa.
Is it too late for me to get there for December 1st?
I cannot tell you that. Unfortunately, I can't. I mean, hopefully, yes, but yeah, why not? I mean, we are 17th of September. Should be possible. You mean by like you mean like submitting your documents at Miami BLS by December 1st?
No, by getting approved to like be in Spain on December 1st.
It's not entirely impossible. A few months ago, I saw cases of people who were approved at Miami in just 5 working days.
Right.
I actually have a first-hand experience, and I remember that from the back of my head. And Miami was working perfectly, right? But right now, these questions, I prefer that you guys ask them in the group. Just go in the group. If you want to ask anonymously, you can do it here, anonymous, no problem. If you don't want to share your name or your situation, it's like how long is taking Miami for approvals, and people will share with you. A lot of people applying from.
For instance, right now my computer screen says too many requests. We have detected excessive requests from your IP address. To protect our services, please try again sometime. And that happens to me frequently because I try to get appointments so many times.
Right. I'm sure you're not the only one. Everyone is in this situation, I think.
I'll try emailing the consulate and also asking in the group chat And I mean, I guess I have nothing to lose. Show up like that couple I saw in the video did, just show up at what, 6 a.m.?
I beg your pardon? I didn't hear.
I saw there was a video, I think it was from your site, that a couple said that they just showed up at BLS at 6 a.m.
Okay, but that could have been months ago. You see,
Right, it was, yeah.
There's always a delay between the content creation and what happened this morning. So
Exactly.
that's why being in the group and asking dynamically.
Yeah.
And for me, it's impossible to keep up with all these changes at all the consulates. I'm trying to upload everything.
Right.
But I'm also by doing so, I'm not trying to replace the reality or anything, but also trying to bring to your attention how dynamic things are, so that you are very, very worried about that. And someone was applying from another consulate, and this person was accepted, and this person was checking the requirements once a week.
Right.
Once a week, in Houston, I think it was Houston or Chicago, and this person was checking the requirement, and this person said that during like the 4 months preparation that this person was having, said that the requirements changed several times during those 4 months.
I've seen it myself. Yeah, and a lot of the requirements are contradictory, between what's in the consulate site and the BLS site. So they contradict each other. Also, I have on my letter from my doctor, I used the format they provided. And my military doctor signed it and stamped it, but she didn't put it on letterhead. Now, the instructions for that letter say that if you use their format, that you just and it's stamped too. It has their stamp with the VA services address. It doesn't say. It says that if you use their format, it doesn't have to be on letterhead. Is that true? Or that's what it looks like in the instructions?
The medical certificate.
Yes.
If it's not,
you're familiar with their worksheet or their fill in the blank form, right?
Yes. I was sharing before, but here, this certificate, yes.
Yes,
so
and there's
you got
like a
one,
list
but
of
it is not with the letterhead, no?
Right. It has their stamp, their signature, and all of that, but not their letterhead.
Look, this question is can only be answered by the officer or the official reviewing your case. You see, and look, I don't want to be cocky about it or sarcastic, but really, it depends whether they drop the coffee in the morning or not on the floor. You know what I mean? Yes, because imagine how ridiculous it is. Imagine how ridiculous it is that you get your visa denied because it wasn't in the letterhead, but it had the stamps and the signature, and it's a real doctor signing that, stating that this is true, that you're not have yellow fever or Ebola or anything. Okay, it is as absurd as it gets. But I mean, if in any situation you were denied or asked to, imagine this situation, they reject your certificate on these grounds.
Right.
A lawyer has two options. The lawyer will tell you, I believe, I'm not an immigration lawyer. They will tell you, one, the lawyer will write a letter saying like, stop the shit, stop the bullshit, please accept this. We're going to go to court in Madrid. Or second, let's not add friction. The officer has had a bad day, drop the coffee. Let's get another certificate that has the letterhead.
Right.
Make it happy.
Yeah.
You see, this is, in my opinion, what would happen. And I'm being very brutal and honest about this this detail.
And I'm trying to get it from them. It's just that the doctor's offices are difficult to deal with. They're about the same, that they drop their coffee some days.
This is a rule for all Spanish bureaucracy. And I'm telling you, it happened to me. I've been in Spain since 2004. Okay, and I've been through many immigration procedures because I am originally from Argentina. I have the advantage that I speak Spanish, but I don't have any other advantage. Okay. And I'm telling you, rule number one for Spanish bureaucracy is depending who you talk to, you're going to get an outcome or another. Rule number one. Then you can fight for it, blah, 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 and they're going to look at the law. But this is how the funcionarios work, okay, and the civil servants. And I've seen, and this happens so much with the digital nomad visa, that people file the visa, they are denied, they just file again, not having changed a single comma, and they get approved.
So the trick is that I need to get it filed very, very quickly.
The thing is that sometimes, if they're the interpretations of the consulate of the law, the consulates are not judges, and they are not the law. This is important, okay? And this is why going with legal help. Sometimes when they become a bit too excessive in the requirements, the lawyer understands. The lawyer tells you. And this, for example, I'm going to give you another example, which is consulates that ask for the requirement of showing a rental contract for the non-lucrative visa. This is the case of Chicago. This is the case of DC. This is the case of Boston. And they shouldn't be asking for this, right?
Right.
I have a video with Ainhoa Manero where she says, whenever they ask me this, I tell them, I'm not going to show you this. She puts a screenshot of idealista.com, you see? And she shows like, oh, where are you going to live? In Madrid? Okay, let's go for Madrid. And she puts a screenshot of this, and she screenshots this, and she writes next to it saying, yeah, I think I'm going to be applying for a rental once I arrive in Madrid. These properties, because I like them very much, blah, blah, blah. And that's what she does. And the consulate has to stay quiet, because this is nowhere in the law that the people have to show a rental contract or a dwelling before arriving. This puts them in a disadvantageous situation, in a risky situation where they have to send money abroad, whatever, etc., etc.
Right,
and
right.
Those influences.
Oh, and that's another weird question. Like when I've reached out to landlords, both of them, the people that I thought, I want this apartment, the price was right, everything, they wanted me to pay right now upfront to reserve it, but they didn't want to show me proof of ownership. They said that they would do that after I signed and got the lease. They said that they didn't want to release their private information. That seemed fishy. Yeah, that I was being scammed, wasn't I?
In Spain, it's very easy to show ownership. Okay,
right.
It is very easy to show ownership. So there is the Colegio de Registradores, but it costs 10 euros. Okay, to get an updated certificate. The Colegio de Registradores, you can order online a nota simple. Okay, the nota simple.
Nota simple. I'll start asking for that then.
Nota simple is, if I show you an image of nota simple, this is how it will look, more or less. Let me see if nota simple informativa. Let me see if I get a good document. It basically says, open link in new tab. No, open image in new tab. The nota simple, it says that this apartment in this street number in this city is owned 100% by John Doe, okay? Or 50% John Doe and 50% Jenny Doe, yes?
Okay.
And it has a mortgage and blah, 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 blah. This is 10 euros, and it is absolutely reasonable that you ask for proof of ownership if you're going to send money online.
Right. I mean, I live in Miami. I know how people are. I think that they're used to people just giving them their money. Maybe that's how they're doing this, but it's not going to happen. Okay, so I'll ask for the notice.
It could be perfectly legal to do it, and they could be perfectly the owners. I'm not saying they're trying to scam you. I'm just saying that it is reasonable that you ask certain questions in order to book something in advance in a country that you are not there physically, and even if you were here physically, yes, it's not
It's still
insane that
smart.
you ask for it before
Right.
signing a contract, because you know what happened to me? It happened to me actually once. I was renting a parking lot here in Malaga, and I was paying for several years to someone for this parking lot, and this person wasn't actually the owner. And then at some point, one day, I find in my car, I find the letter, handwritten, saying, "I am the real owner of this parking lot. Contact me
Oh
in this phone,"
no.
right? But in the end, it
Well,
happened to be that there was a fight. There was a fight in the family, blah blah blah. There was an
yeah.
inheritance issue. Then it wasn't entirely. I wasn't entirely scammed by the person who was renting me, but this thing can perfectly happen if people don't show the ownership of things,
And
and
at least
it is
they were nice
double-edged
about
sword.
it. Yeah, here in Miami Beach, the police will come and take people out of the Airbnbs. So at least they were nice about they didn't tow your car.
I was paying like we say in
Yeah.
Spanish, religiously, like every month, thinking that I
Right.
was paying the owner for my car. My park was their park, so I didn't have any problem. But I recall this. This was back in the day, 2009, so many years ago. So, but it happened to me. For example, in Malaga, like 5 years ago, one guy was renting me an apartment that I ended up renting, and this guy, I asked him like, "Can you show me proof that you are owner of this apartment?" You see, and we were in the apartment. I went through the list. I went to visit it. Can you we were gonna sign the apartment. It required 2 months deposits. Back in the day, it was 700 euros. So I was paying 2,100 euros, 2 months deposit, 1 month rental, and I was signing the contract with the guy, and I said like, "Do you have something that proves that you can rent this out?" And the guy was surprised and even shocked and even offended. And the guy actually was, in fact, the son of the owner. And he wasn't showing me the power of attorney, you see?
Mm. Right.
And the guy was a little bit offended and everything, blah, blah, blah. And there was never a good relationship with the guy just because I
Right.
asked that, you see?
I think that he was probably pretending to be offended so that you wouldn't ask. Or so
Exactly.
that you
So
wouldn't pursue
you
it.
need to have a little bit of flow, feeling. In Spanish, we say mano izquierda, okay? But don't forget to establish your safety firewall net, asking the proper questions that are reasonable to ask.
Right. But asking for the nota simple formativa is the polite way to ask for it, right?
Exactly. And
Okay.
it is something that I would ask if I was renting from abroad, okay?
Okay. Good. Thank you so much. Thank you. You answered a lot of questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you want to leave a review on Trustpilot, that would really helpful.
Yeah.
I will really be thanking you and crossing my fingers for you and your
For the first lady
application,
who
and that you
called
get
about
your
Oh,
plan
I'm
in
so
Miami.
sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure you don't hang up. The first lady who called about Miami, I did everything. I heard you explaining like all the different choices or the cheap way or the expensive way. I did it through the USPS in Miami. And I booked an appointment, I think within, like it was the next day, I got an appointment. I had my results within the same week, and it was apostilled within a week after that. I had that in the mail, and I did everything the cheap way. I would say the whole process took 2 weeks or less.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, and I did everything the cheap way in Miami. The only holdup right now is the translation. I'm waiting for the translation, which I used one of your recommended companies, and it's supposed to be 5 days.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. It really helps. And I'm sure you're going to get it on time. As far as I understand from everyone using the recommended services, everything is on time. So, but Peter, I wanted to ask, like 2 weeks and a half is very fast for apostille. You're talking about federal apostille?
Yes, yes. Oh, I would say the apostille took less than 2 weeks, maybe even like 1 week. It was everything included from like I first reached out to USPS to book an appointment.
Look at this thing. Someone got advice that it took 12 weeks. Anyone know a way to get it faster? Got it back in 6 weeks, this person. 6.
Maybe because I haven't even had a parking ticket in 30 years. So I may be the only person in Miami who's never been in jail.
I mean, it does help not having committed any crime. That it definitely does. But it doesn't help you getting the apostille faster, because the apostille is just the process of the apostille is basically they look at the signature. They look at the signature, which is the signature for the FBI background check. It's always the same guy signing. It is famous guy because he signs all the. I'm sure they use a template, so they just need to. They just confirm that this signature is from someone who holds the power to sign, right?
Okay.
That's the only thing they look. They don't look at the content of your background check. It is just about legalizing the signature, and that's it. So this one, November 2023. So that's too far away in time, how long it was taking. But people are asking for all these time frames. Edinburgh, no. So yeah, it would depend. Some people are lucky, like you, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. Some other 6 weeks, some other 7. You see, It's just so random and erratic.
Mine was really fast, so I'm lucky. And I hope that the only holdup now is the appointment.
Yes, hopefully you'll get it. Hopefully you'll get it. I don't know. In your case, since you were blocked for the IP, potentially you could use different computer, potentially a VPN service that enables you to use different IPs. I have no idea. Asking for tips in the groups is also helpful sometimes. I've seen people who said they could get appointments following certain patterns of time. Some people just said, "Oh, I checked the appointments at 4 a.m. and it helped." Stuff like that. Some crazy and absurd stuff. But apparently, people, sometimes those tips could potentially help speeding up this. So yeah, I really appreciate that you joined today. Thanks for sharing your experience, asking your questions. I'll be crossing my fingers for you to get the appointments. Thank you. And if anyone else has any other questions, please shoot now. Otherwise, we're going to just finish this candid NLV Q&A session. You can always reach me out at hello@spainguru.es. I always answer my emails. Okay. And definitely stay in touch. And I'll see you around, whether it is in another webinar. Remember that you can join any of my 6 free webinars, okay, that I hold every about 2 to 3 weeks. All of these webinars: non-lucrative visa, Spanish taxes, moving to Spain, Spanish digital nomad visa, alternative for the Finnish golden visa program in the European Union. Remember that I have several sections that if you're moving to Spain could be helpful. Move to Spain checklist. It tells you step by step what to do, starting 1 year before moving until you arrive, and even beyond arrival, right? And it comes with videos, explanations, information, services, all you can think of. And this is absolutely free. I've seen other websites, respectful websites, of course, but they charge for it. But in Spainguru, everything is for free, unless you go with my experts that I personally vet. Okay, obviously those expert services, they will charge you, but all the rest, Move to Spain checklist is for free. If you want to know more about places to move in Spain, I have 13 city and region guides, okay, all over Spain. I think I'm covering about 95% of areas where expats move in Spain. And of course, the newsletter that I send every single Monday morning, definitely it is also free. You can opt out anytime, where I feature top discussions, blog posts, articles, and so on and so on. And of course, my articles here that I write every single week, talking about immigration, taxes, news, real estate in Spain, so much more. So yeah, I hope to see you around. Thank you so much for joining today, and stay in touch. Goodbye.